Okay, Thursday, July 20th, 2023. Just getting back from the gym. So, I was reading about people on I'm in Reddit. I'm quite active in Reddit, actually. I don't know. I like writing the comments, writing some twists, writing some humor, some straight truth, just pointing out the obvious. I don't know, that social media, I seem to have a vibe there. I've got like 25,000 karma or something on there where, I think that's pretty good. That's above average. I mean, all my other social media, including this one, is well below any averages. But yeah, so I read, that people are failing the PMP exam, and in my view, if you pre-qualify, you have experience, you've worked in the industry, have a college degree, so you know how to study and everything. I find it, if you put in a solid 3 months and you have project management experience, especially in software, and working in an agile environment or a mix, like in a big company. So maybe the PMI has to be more picky on the work experience before allowing people to take the test. I'm not sure. But then they have a business to run and they want a lot of people to take the test. They want a certain rate of failure so it can look prestigious. It's like my feeling, like, it's just like in the military, the special forces, they take a lot of mediocre candidates, they know that wouldn't pass, just so they can have the statistics to say that only 20% of the people get through. I don't know. It's just a theory I have. Of course, for them, it's hard to know who's going to pass and who's not, what's inside somebody, because it's more of a mental game than a physical game. So, these physical tests won't predict everything. Although one author had wrote a book like your parental upbringing, there's a huge correlation between, your family having high expectations on your parents one of the authors who studied this wrote that parents with the people who get through, a lot of them had parents with high expectations, so maybe they got to interview the parents, and maybe they got to do another round of it, and that would save the government a lot of money, because obviously you have to take this person out of the regular job and they go through, between 6 months of a selection process, reassignment, admin, all this kind of stuff, so maybe they could screen out some people there, because it is like a test of character. Now I've never done it before. I just worked in that field in a support role as an intelligence officer. I never actually did that, but I'm just speculating. But anyway, back to the PMI exam. So one thing I saw, like the two people that had failed this exam, they were right on the line. So it's doubtful that they didn't study the right stuff. It was more like they didn't have the test-taking skills or the stamina. And I had been emphasizing in my comments that when they make an exam for 4 hours, just like these SAT exams we took in school, they're not just testing, your IQ or what you studied or how much you know. They're testing your physical stamina as well. Because, when you go to a job, you're going to be working 3 or 4 hours at a time without a break, without lunch, going to back-to-back meetings. And you have to be focused all the time. Just yesterday, I had like 4 hours of back-to-back meetings. And, I have to admit, the last hour of that, I was losing focus, because these guys are just, we're trying to get estimates. And these meetings devolve into like technical architecture meetings, and we're just trying to size up a project, just trying to get some sizing. But, the vendors, and this is the difference between like PMI and the real world. Most of the real world, especially small, medium companies, they contract the development work out. They don't have the ability to take all these people in-house. It's very risky. You hire a guy, and then you're kind of stuck with him. Or if you hire a contractor and the contractor is kind of a bum, you just tell his manager and they can switch him out. At least in theory, that's how it works. You end up getting stuck with some jokers there as well. But generally, that's what happens in medium companies. And so these contractors and vendors, they have their own company. They have their own interests at heart. It's just the way it is. They have a business to grow. And sometimes I wonder if they're just trying to confuse things and drag these meetings out, because, the project I'm working on, it's pretty much a straight ETL. You take data from one place and move it to another place. And in the middle somewhere, you're going to add to the data or clean the data. They call this ETL. This field is at least 20 years old. I first saw it in 2008, 2007 when I took my SQL Server courses, to learn all these Microsoft business intelligence products. The one was like to retrieve the data, and then one was to transform the data, and the other was to display the data. So one was like, I think SSAS, SSRS, and SSIS. One was integration services, one was reporting services, and one was analysis services. And this was like a Microsoft business intelligence. I think it became Power BI. I think this evolved into the Power BI suite. So this has been around a while. And you're going to find in companies that estimating is pretty hard, especially when it's contractors and vendors, because they take it as like you're giving a promise. But really, you need estimates so you can make budgets and you can, do planning for the next year, around some estimates that are like, in the ballpark, meaning give or take 20%, 25% even. So, anyway, back to PMI again. It's, I do this unscripted and just, my thoughts are running, after the gym. So the importance of physical fitness for the PMP. I'm running 30 minutes. I'm 52. I'm running 30 minutes every other day. And, I live in Ukraine. I don't have a car, so I have to walk everywhere. So I have a little tracker, and I'm usually doing around 5 to 10 kilometers a day of walking, going to the supermarket, going to the open air market, just going to the city center, just doing small errands, or just walking around with my wife a few times a day to get a break from work. So it's important, and it's something you got to consider in your exam prep, because believe me, the way that PMP test is set up, they have I took it at home. I don't know how it is in the test center, but it's probably pretty much the same. They have everything in 10-point letters. So you're squinting your eyes. You really have to concentrate on every word. And it's even more true for the ACP, that every word makes a difference in the question. Then you have to read through the answers. Actually, I suggest you read the question first, then read the passage. Maybe read the passage again so you really understand what they want and what they're giving you. And then go through the answers and pick out the two wrong ones, the obvious wrong ones, and then try to, think through or reason through the last two choices till you get to the right one. But that takes physical stamina. Like these two guys that had failed, I saw on the Reddit, they were right on the line. So to me, I think they ran out of gas. They ran out of energy. They lost focus. And the way you calm your nerves and keep focus is exercising, and reducing your caffeine and sugar intake and having a Mediterranean diet. You'd be surprised. It does wonders for your body. You don't need Prozac and Zoloft and all this other crazy stuff. And if you're taking that stuff and going into a PM job in a software company, it's a thankless job, believe me. Your stakeholders will get all the credit. The guy who funds and sponsors the project and has the vision, and your role is to be this servant leader, right? The servants are supposed to stay quiet and keep their head down and get the stuff done, and don't make too much noise. That's the sad but true. Sad but true. So I advise, the pay is pretty good, so I advise you put that money into some good investments, whatever, pay off your house early or buy some good stocks, and, hope you can get out of this at some point, become a coach or open up your own training school, or, open up a small shop and, sell cigarettes and beer, to truck drivers. I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, you're gonna need endurance for this. You're gonna need a lot of endurance, and I tell you, like, I go to the gym 3 times a week, and then on the days I'm not in the gym, I usually go for like very long walks. So I live outside of the second city of Ukraine, Lviv, about 40 minutes, and so I walk to the city center and back. I walk down there, I have donuts and cake. I don't drink alcohol or any of that, so I just usually have water and like some small food to eat. My wife is a really good cook, so I always eat at home. The restaurant food is like loaded with salt and sugar, so I usually just have something small down there. And then I walk back home, and walking can do wonders. You don't have to be competitive. You don't have to go to the gym and, bench press 800 pounds. I mean, I just run real light for 30 minutes. I run at like, 8-10 minute mile pace, just enough to break a sweat. And then I do some very light weightlifting. I mean, just some, squats like at half my body weight, just really light weights, but high repetitions, because I'm really goal is to build a cardiovascular fitness, blood circulation. And that's what will keep your focus. And while you're going through all this, when you get into, when you first get to the gym, you just feel lethargic. But after you're like running for 5 or 6 minutes, all of a sudden you start waking up, the blood is moving, and your head clears. You stop worrying and thinking about all this stuff that bothers you, and it's just like everything clears out, and you really start focusing on the routine. There's always other people at the gym. In Ukraine, it's not so chatty like in America. We just high-five each other. Nobody's really having conversations. I mean, people are just, but they're smiling and friendly, but they're not gonna sideline you like in America. Like when you go to a gym in America, people always like sideline you and try to get you to join their church or sell Amway or, motivate you. In America, everyone is like trying to motivate you. It's everything is about, it's every second person there's like a motivational coach or something. So it's not like that in Ukraine. It's not like that. So I would advise, we need more English-speaking agile coaches and project managers here, that can understand American culture and be a bit more assertive. I can tell you that's there is some demand for that here. I think the companies need some convincing. They're very skeptical of hiring foreigners, especially Americans. They think we're all overqualified, spoiled, whatever. But I found my niche here, so if I can do it, you can do it too. And I haven't even learned Ukrainian yet. But yes, physical fitness, stamina, just you don't need to do this killer workout. You don't need to hire a personal trainer. And I mean, really, honestly, if you live in a nice climate area, you don't even really need a gym. You can just jog on a track. Of course, go to a doctor first and make sure you can do all this. And I mean, even it's enough to walk fast. The idea is to just break a sweat, to break a sweat for 20 or 30 minutes, to get to a point where, your clothes are getting wet. That's, then your body is doing something and your mind is getting cleaned out. And this also helps your studying. When you're studying for an exam and you take these breaks and everything, it helps the information sink in. There is like a mechanism, a biological mechanism that takes place. And I think the PMP schools and all these PMP people, they need to talk about this. I mean, you have like this AR, the blue shirt guy, talking about drinking beer and eating cake. You don't want to drink beer and eat cake. That's like alcohol mixed with carb, like processed carbs. You're gonna puke. It's gonna turn all your stomach into acid. You're gonna be sick. Maybe after the exam, you do it once, have a beer and a cake. I've never heard of that before. Usually beer kind of goes with meat and burgers and something that can absorb that alcohol. I mean, cake would just exacerbate that problem. But anyway, enough about AR's advice. But yeah, this has to be emphasized. I mean, it's physical. You know, being a manager in a company and dealing with personalities, it is physically demanding. I mean, it's like that's not emphasized enough. But yeah, anyway, that's my piece about this. You know, if you're struggling with the exam or you failed the exam, in addition to like reading, like I said in the last video, I said you've got to be able to read. But if you're on the line, I think you're reading just fine. Your reading speed is fine. You just lost focus. You lost your train of thought. And that's cured more by fitness and by lifestyle and getting the right amount of sleep. And again, exercise helps you sleep better too. You know, you sleep deeper at night, and that also helps your learning. So if you're struggling with all that, then I would add that to your routine. Clean up your diet. Quit alcohol for that time. While you're preparing for the exam, and really, like I said, be able to start by walking. If you're not a runner or not fit, at least get out there and walk for like a good 1 hour a day. Do it in 2 sets of 30 minutes if you're really out of shape, or talk to your doctor or something. But try to get up to like an hour a day of walking, and then the days you're not walking, try to get into a gym, or do something like a little bit of jogging or something, like to increase the intensity so you get that sweat breaking. But anyway, that's all I got. I always have this like epilogue, or like an encore. I just say I'm going to quit, and then I have a few more thoughts, and then I quit. That's my MO. Anyway, take care. See you. Bye.